Let's go on the ground in Canada. What is the discussion amid people in Canada, amid the politicians? Because what we see right now is Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has found himself isolated not just by his own Western allies, but also in domestic politics as opposition members of parliament refuse to stand by him. And that shows what allegations can do. Anisha Mathur, India Today's colleague, joining me right now from Toronto on the latest on that. Anisha, do tell us how is this being seen domestically, specifically in political situation there in Canada? And has Justin Trudeau found himself isolated, especially with the allegations and now with S. Jaishankar's remark coming in?
Well, most definitely, Pooja. This is a question that is being asked repeatedly just a few days ago, as well as now, with India raising a tough stance in the UN and again asking for the evidence that Trudeau had alluded to. A very clear question that is being asked is about why would a prime minister of a country make a statement that affects the relationship with a friendly ally when the investigators in British Columbia have not yet completed an investigation. This is something that politicians in British Columbia are also asking, that where is the investigation report of this particular issue, which has been which is now being discussed on a world stage because of the way it has impacted the relationship between India and Canada. Even Jasmeet Singh, the NDP leader, when questions were asked to him by media persons at Parliament Hill today, has said that, well, I have been briefed about this issue, but I have not been given any specific information. So even his Trudeau's own ally seems to be giving a more slightly withdrawn statement rather than a very clear. On the other side, the opposition in Parliament today, the Conservative Party has also been raising the question of the actual evidence, whether it is there or not, what kind of investigation is happening. During one of the speeches in Parliament today, one of the MPs from Surrey, in fact, has raised the point that a proper investigation must be done, and whatever comes out of that must be acted upon. So the questions really being raised against Trudeau as to why a politician has made a statement affecting foreign relations with a friendly ally without the investigation actually being complete.
Very interesting what you're telling us. Even domestic politics is not where Justin Trudeau has managed to make a mark with these allegations of a potential link against India. Thank you so much. Anisha Mathur will be tracking all the latest on that from Canada. Listen in now to what our Foreign Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar said at the United Nations General Assembly that he was addressing.
Namaste. Nor must we countenance that political convenience determines responses to terrorism, extremism, and violence. Similarly, respect for territorial integrity and non-interference in internal affairs cannot be exercises in cherry-picking. When reality departs from the rhetoric, we must have the courage to call it out. Without genuine solidarity, there can never be real trust. This is very much the sentiment of the Global South. The democratization of technology has opened mindsets, instilled confidence, and inspired innovations. Excellencies, in our deliberations, we often advocate the promotion of a rules-based order. From time to time, respect for the UN Charter is also invoked. But for all the talk, it is still a few nations who shape the agenda and seek to define the norms. This cannot go on indefinitely, nor will it go unchallenged. A fair, equitable, and democratic order will surely emerge once we all put our minds to it. And for a start, that means ensuring that rule makers do not subjugate rule takers. After all, rules will work only when they apply equally to all.
We need to recognize how things are connected. Combien de gens dans vos...
Like many people in your countries, I can assure you that Canadians They are also worried about the cost of living. They are also concerned about artificial intelligence, foreign interference, misinformation and disinformation.
Let's get you now a voice from Canada. What are the experts saying there, and specifically with regard to domestic politics? India Today spoke to former Solicitor General, who was also the former police chief of British Columbia, Kash. Here's what he had to say.
We've now, once again, tarnished the reputation of South Asians here in Canada. We went through this years ago, as I mentioned, with the Air India bombing. We went through a conflict here in British Columbia with the moderates and fundamentalists fighting for gurdwaras and control over them and what we were going to do.
Is that happening again now? Is that happening again now?
We haven't seen it so far, but I remember being actively involved in trying to ensure that there's peace and harmony within our community. And this, may raise itself again. I hope not. But, when we create so much conflict and we start looking at those religious beliefs and put that in front of what the law of the land is, we should be very, very concerned of where this is going to go and how it's going to tarnish the reputation of South Asians here in Canada and elsewhere around the world.
So just one last question. You mentioned that with regard to the investigation itself, just a last comment from you as a former police chief and Solicitor General. How do you see the investigation that has been conducted in this Nijjar case so far? Because that has created a lot of this conflict, whether it is within communities in Canada or if it is between India and Canada.
Well, let me tell you, the law enforcement officers that are investigating this will do their work. They will come up with the evidence they need, hopefully, to lead to charges against some of the individuals involved. If we're talking about a larger conspiracy, it may take some time to do that. But I have confidence in our law enforcement officers that they will do what they're sworn to do in their communities and respecting the laws here in Canada. I don't have as much confidence in our political bodies.
But it's the statements coming in from the United States of America that are actually very interesting, and specifically the manner in which they're not completely supporting Canada as Justin Trudeau would have liked. Here's what the US envoy, the State Department, has to say.
I wanted to ask you about the India-Canada relationship, what impact this is going to have on US-India relationship.
So I made comments on this yesterday. I can restate them here, which is that we are obviously quite concerned about the situation in Canada. We've cooperated closely with our Canadian counterparts, and we have urged India to cooperate in that investigation, and will continue to do so. And India remains an important partner of the United States. We work with them on a number of issues, but of course, on this matter, we urge them to cooperate with the Canadian investigation.
So Canada